Hello everyone, this is AJ and welcome back to the channel. Yeah, so I thought I'd revisit Hook, Steven Spielberg's Hook. So I'm going to share my thoughts on it. Let's get into it. Okay, yeah, so Hook. I thought I'd revisit it. I had a little discussion about it the other day. I heard some of the soundtrack again. And I thought, I'm going to put it on and watch it. Now, I did watch the 4K version. I have had the film on 4K for some time, but never got around to actually watching it. I am very familiar with the movie. So yeah, and that's why it's taken so much time. I actually had 3 copies of it. I had a Blu-ray, Amaray, I had a Blu-ray Steelbook, and the 4K version. Now the Blu-ray Amaray I've sent off, or have sent it off, and he's done an opening to Jimmy over at Jimmy Boy's Movies, because I was shocked that he'd never seen this film. Yeah, that was just like, and I thought, I've got 3 copies, I've got to send you one. You know, you've got to watch it. Anyway, so, and like I said, the Steelbook I have is of this design, fingerprinting. I do have it in a bag normally, you know, a protective case. But it's a wonderful steelbook, just, you know, a fantastic design, where it looks like a book with the little latches on it, you know, compass thing there, and it's all embossed and that sort of thing. So just very, very nice design, that. So yeah, so Hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the film. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the film. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the transfer, and then I'll give you a little bit of trivia towards the end. Yeah, because that's what I do. Now, before I start, if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button, coming over and joining the channel. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you hit the notification bell, that'll keep you apprised of all my upcoming content. And there is a fair bit of it. You know, I've got a lot in the channel. There might be some stuff for you that you will like. I also encourage people to leave comments. I do reply to all comments. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever you want. Have a little discussion, a friendly discussion about the film. Always keep it friendly. That's my advice. That's what I'm respectful towards people. And would expect the same. Regardless of your thoughts on a film, there's no point getting into a fight about it, is there? But that's what people seem to do for some obscure, odd reason. We don't agree on a film, so let's fight and dig at each other for that reason. What's that about? I don't know. I don't get that either. So anyway, so Hook, yeah. So obviously, as you know, Hook is based on Peter Pan, a famous book by J.M. Barrie and play. Now this particular film, this came out on April the 10th of 1991 with a universal rating and a runtime of 2 hours and 22 minutes. That date was the UK release. US may have had a different date release. They probably did. But anyway, so obviously, as you know, this film is directed by the fantastic Steven Spielberg. Based on the book, like I said, by J.M. Barrie, but with a screenplay or story for the screen by James V. Hart and Nick Castle. Yeah, now this film did have a budget of $70 million. We'll come back into that somewhat later. So, the story for this film, everyone knows it. You must know. You've been living under a rock if you don't know. Peter Pan has come back. He has grown up. He's got children of his own. Hook comes, steals his children because he wants a little bit of fisticuffs with Peter Pan. He wants to kill Peter Pan. He takes Peter's children under his wing. Peter has to go back to Neverland, remember who he was, and save the day, so to speak. Now, obviously, this film has got a fantastic all-star cast in it. You know, you've got the fabulous Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook. Robin Williams plays Peter Banning, or Peter Pan, if you would rather call him. Julia Roberts, she plays Roberts. What am I saying? Julia Roberts plays Tinkerbell. Bob Hoskins in a starring role as Smee. Maggie Smith as Granny Wendy, a grown-up Granny Wendy. Yeah, as well as loads of other cast members and this sort of thing, and cameo appearances within the film that, again, we will come into later on in this review. So this film, that's pretty much the story for the film, right? Obviously it starts in the US, and we're introduced to Peter Banning, who's like this high up sort of lawyer guy who goes in and takes over companies when they're sort of dead in the water, so to speak, you know, and he ain't got much time for his children, and they have to go to the UK because Granny Wendy's opening a wing of the Great Ormond Street Hospital. That's in her name for all the work that she's done. So in the context of this story, the book exists, the Peter Pan book exists. J.M. Barrie was the next door neighbour in the context of the story of Wendy, and the stuff that happened to Wendy, the stories they used to tell, J.M. Barrie took the ideas, listened to her stories, and made a book out of it. And this is how this story sort of comes about. So yeah, so you know, this film is somewhat maligned at times. You know, I see a lot of people do love it. A lot of people do love this film, but then there's other people that don't, and it's difficult for me to understand why, because from my perspective this is a fantastic film. It's very well acted. Dustin Hoffman is on point. Robin Williams, I mean, who better to play Peter Pan, a grown-up Peter Pan, than Robin Williams, the late great Robin Williams. He's fantastic. Julia Roberts, she was very good as Tinkerbell. You know, Maggie Smith, always wonderful. And Bob Hoskins, you know, even the children that play Peter's two children, you know, they're pretty damn good. There's a few bits that might annoy you about but this film, it's shot lovely. It's shot lovely. Now, a lot of people tend to have a problem with the sets when they get to Neverland. I'm not one of those people. Now, Neverland looks fake. It does. It's a set. It's a set, and it's obviously a set, and it was made to look that way because Neverland is very much a sort of place where if you were a child, in a child's mind, would be a set and an adventure playground for you to go and play on. That is how Neverland is designed. A big adventure playground populated by pirates and all this sort of thing, because it all comes from a child's mind, essentially, the story, because obviously the story is about children not wanting to grow up. You know, it's about man, or men, should we say, because, I mean, look at me, you know, I'm in my mid-40s, and look around me, you know, it's Peter Pan syndrome wherever you look, right? Like with a lot of men like stuff, and all this sort of stuff appeals to majority of men. But yeah, so this film, like I said, that the sets are just, they're beautiful, they're just wonderful, they're vibrant, they're colourful, and it's a set you'd really like to visit and go and play in as your playground. It really is. Now, like I said, the acting within the film is top notch. You know, okay, it's played very panto-like when you get to Neverland with Captain Hook, but it all works for the majesty of this film. This film delves into the themes of growing up and losing that childhood innocence and forgetting about the past and all this sort of thing, and how families can go astray, and how we don't realise that work is getting in the way, and we treat our families rather bad because of that, because we're putting them second fiddle to what we're doing, and this sort of thing. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful time. The special effects in it are amazing. Even the Peter Pan's flight effects are very, very good. The makeup is top notch. The costumes that people are wearing, just wonderful, wonderful stuff. You know, there's nothing about this film that I can really say that is negative. There's nothing in this film that I don't enjoy and I don't like. I think it's a visual masterpiece. I think it's well directed, well acted. It just looks just gorgeous. And what can I say about John Williams' musical score for this film? Now, John Williams has done some fantastic musical scores over the years, you know, Jaws, Star Wars, Superman, Indiana Jones, all these are fabulous, right? But for me personally, I like this soundtrack, you know. Even though, you know, your Indiana Joneses, your Jaws, your Star Wars, Superman, they're all very recognisable and they're all fantastic, top-notch soundtracks, but this one here just edges it out slightly for me. I think that some of the music in this film is just beautiful, and it goes along, it just elevates this film to another level. You know, it's just fantastic. The soundtrack is just I don't know, I'm just gushing about this film. I love this film every time I watch it, and I can revisit this film over and over and over again. I've got a liking for Peter Pan anyway, and the story of Peter Pan. There's a sort of truth and honesty to it about us as men and childhood and not wanting to grow up and let go of that past. And it just so works for me. I just love it. But anyway, so I'm gonna jump in to some trivia about the film now. I'm gonna give you some little trivia points just to keep you excited. Things you may probably know, but possibly don't. Now, some of them are quite famous pieces of trivia. Now, this film has a wealth of cameos in it. Yes. So, first of all, we've got Phil Collins. Yes, you know, Phil Collins appears as the police detective at the beginning after the Banning children have been kidnapped. He got a minor role there. Glenn Close. Yes, Glenn Close plays the pirate that gets taken into the boo box with the scorpions. Obviously, she's made up to look like a male pirate. And then the bit where Tinkerbell first takes Peter to Neverland, and there's a couple kissing on the bridge, and the dust is sprinkled over them. That is George Lucas and Carrie Fisher. Yeah, in an embrace in that scene. Now, Carrie Fisher was done an uncredited rewrite on the film as well. Hence why she's there. And obviously, the other bearded one is good friends with Steven Spielberg. Now, also, when the Bannings fly to the UK at the start of the film, and they're on their aeroplane, and the captain comes over the radio going, "This is your captain speaking," in his American accent. That is actually Dustin Hoffman, because this goes into that sort of that element of the film as to whether what you're seeing is real or whether it's all in the mind, whether it's all a dream. Because obviously at the end you see Bob Hoskins again, don't you, as the road sweeper, when Peter's at the base of the Peter Pan statue that is in Hyde Park. I have visited that. It's a very nice statue. And also one other thing, when Robin Williams sadly passed away, George Lucas, him and Robin Williams had become best friends over the filming of this film. Out of honour for Robin Williams, Steven Spielberg put this film on and watched it, but he couldn't make it to the end of the film. He had to turn it off because he kept bursting into tears. How sad is that? Now, this film, as you know, even still, Steven Spielberg doesn't really like this film, isn't happy with the job that he's done on it. And I don't get that. I don't understand it, because for me, this is a top-notch film. This is a top-level film. And in 4K, watching it in 4K, it just looks beautiful. You know, those colours of Neverland, they just pop off the screen, they come at you, and it's just a glory. It's the best I've ever seen in this film. The sound is fantastic. Again, I can't knock the transfer on this film. It's just wonderful. And I'm going to leave you with one last little snippet. Obviously, Bob Hoskins, who played Smee in this film, it's not the only time that he played Smee. He actually returned to play the character in Neverland, which was a sort of TV 3-hour miniseries. And there he is there, playing the character of Smee yet again. Yeah, so fantastic. Good old Bob Hoskins. The late Bob Hoskins, again, unfortunately. We're losing all these wonderful people, wonderful talent. But that's life, isn't it? Life goes on. And as you get older, life seems to take away more than what it gives you. But there you go. Anyway, so that was my review, my talk or discussion, whatever you want to call it, about the movie Hook from Steven Spielberg. One of my favourite films. I do love it. I've had a good time watching it with my children and introducing them to it over the years. And I love it. Anyway, this is AJ. Thank you for watching. Please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that notification bell, leaving me a comment. I'll reply to all comments, and maybe giving a thumbs up if you so wish. If not, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, and be safe.